Namaste students. It has really been wonderful teaching you for the last 6 weeks, and I hope you too have enjoyed the lessons. Now we will go through a quick revision of all that we have learned. Kathak is a classical Indian dance style which has been performed along the Indo-Gangetic Valley for centuries. It has evolved gradually from the time when it was a storytelling or a kathakar style which was performed in temples and in religious festivities. Then it went on through the Islamic courts during medieval India and has finally come to its present state. Kathak is anchored in the Hindustani classical music system. In India, we have two music systems: Hindustani, which belongs to North India, and Carnatic, which belongs to South India. The Hindustani classical music system has been influenced both by the ancient Indian traditions as well as the Central Asian traditions. It evolved round about the 12th, 13th, 14th centuries and has been growing and becoming more and more sophisticated over the centuries. Now, every music system has a melodic pattern and a rhythmic pattern. In Kathak, following the Hindustani classical music system, we have different tals. What is a tal? A tal is a rhythmic sequence with a fixed number of beats and stresses. You keep the dominant beats or stresses with a tali and the open beats or those which are not dominant as the khali with the separation of the hands. The remaining beats may be kept with the fingers or just not kept at all and just imagine like na din din na din din na din din na din din na, where I'm not doing na din din na din din na. But if I'm doing it slowly, then I would do it na din din na. Now this brings us to tempo or the speed in which we are performing. Now how do you differentiate speed? Generally, it is thought that the time gap between one beat and the next. So the longer the time beat, the slower the tempo. Generally, we follow 3 major tempos: the very slow or vilambit, then the medium or madhya, and the fast or drut. These are also called tha or the basic, dun double, and chaugun or quadruple. The Hindustani classical music system offers us many tals. We will begin with Trital, which has 16 beats and 4 divisions, with 4 beats to each division. It is called Trital or often colloquially Teen Tal because there are 3 stresses and 1 unstressed syllable. So it is na din din na din din na din din na te te din din da dha. Now this dha or the first beat is the dominant beat and it is very important. It is called the sum. Every melodic pattern or rhythmic pattern starts with the sum and ends with the sum. Even if it should start before or after, the main first stress is the sum. Now, the time span between one sum to the next is called an avartan or a cycle. Here, in your lessons, we have started with Trital because Trital is the most versatile, most flexible, and in a way, the most easy because, with a 4/4 division, it is very easy to follow and we can do it in any tempo. It sounds beautiful in each and every tempo. We started with teaching you how to do padhant. Padhant is recitation, in which you recite the rhythmic syllables, keeping the basic structure of the tal. So you have to keep the structure with your hands and your fingers. After reciting a cycle of three tal, then you do your special rhythmic formation, whichever you are going to present. Now, Padhant is very important in Kathak because, first of all, the recitation gives the tabla and pakhawaj player an idea of what to play, the intonations of the rhythmic variations, and even the audience gets an idea about what you will be performing. Because the dance is more or less a visual image of the rhythm that you have recited. So all the rhythmic formations are first recited, or padhant is done first. We have learnt a number of variations in the rhythmic formations. We have learnt tihai. A tihai is when a rhythmic formation or a rhythmic cadence is repeated 3 times to come to the sum. It can start from the very simple and go on to the very complex. And you have learnt quite a few of the tihais, which I'm sure you remember. Then we have also learnt various rhythmic formations like the tukra. The tukra means a small bit, a little piece. And you have also learnt the toda. A toda means a collection or a bunch. So basically in tukra and in toda, the rhythmic sound syllables may be the same, but the difference is in the structure. A tukra is a small bit and the toda is an elaborate composition. Now all the rhythmic formations in Kathak are classified by 2 standards. One is the structure, whether it is short or long, whether it is repeated 3 times, whether there are special categories of structures. For instance, like you can have one without a pause, which is a bedam, or with a pause, a damdar. And then you have the chakradar, in which the entire formation is repeated 3 times. And the farmaishi chakradar, which you remember, is again a very special combination in which in the first repetition, the first palla of the tihai, in the second repetition, the second palla of the tihai, and in the final repetition, the final palla of the tihai comes to the sum. Now what is a palla? A palla is a sequence of rhythmic sounds. And a tihai has 3 pallas because this rhythm is recited 3 times. So these are the basic structure-wise combinations. Then sound-wise, the primary sounds used in Kathak are ta, the, tat. Compositions using just ta, the, tat are amad. With this you add some more syllables, tigdha, diga, diga, and occasionally thram. With ta, the, tat and tigdha, diga, diga, thram, you have what are called nach bowls or nrityangi bowls, or again natwari bowls. Then with the sound syllables, sometimes instead of using those associated with dance, we have those associated with the mridang. The mridang, which is a percussion instrument, which was played since ancient times with Kathak. And the sound syllables of mridang are different, like dha, kinedha, tetekatagati kinedha, kridha tetedha. These are forceful syllables. And parans are formed with them, and the dance in the parans is also vigorous, reflecting the rhythmic cadences of the composition. Then we also learned footwork, tatkar. Now, tatkar literally means the sound of kar of tat, or the tapping of the feet. Tatkar can be done as short pieces in between dance patterns, or it can dance as a final culminating presentation of your entire recital, where you go on performing tatkar or footwork at a high speed, gradually building up the tempo and finishing with the climax. These rhythmic syllables are naturally danced, and for the dance we have taught you different movements of the hands and the feet. Movements of the hand are called hasta sanchalan, and those of the feet pada bhangima, or stances of the feet. The basic hand stance is the utpatti, from which all movements begin. There are various movements of the hands, and we have started with the simple ones, which are circular movements like Urdhva Hasta Chakra, Madhya Hasta Chakra, Tala Hasta Chakra. Then we have shown other circular movements of the hands. Then linear movements pointing to corners. Then we have the flower-like movements. From there we went on to chakkars. Chakkars are pirouettes or rotations. Previously they were called pheri, but now are commonly called chakkars. And there are various styles of taking chakkars, sometimes by opening the arms and closing them, sometimes by taking movements like this, one to the side, one above, then again keeping your hands closed, again opening them at the end, and so on. Then with different numbers of tapping of the feet, sometimes 8, sometimes 5, sometimes 4, 3, 2, and even 1. Single turns with one tap of the feet. Then we had also learnt various styles of using the feet. Sama, where the feet are kept in a V shape and the weight of the body is equally balanced on both the feet. Then Adhar, when the weight of the body is on one foot, but even then both the feet are kept on V shape, or maybe the weight bearing foot is a little to the front. Then again the use of the heels, where the front portion of the foot is on the ground and the heel goes up and down. Then when it's more like a little kick, where you put the heel sharply down and then the front portion goes up. Then ardhaghat, when you are tapping with the sides of the feet. So quite a few pada sanchalan or pada bhangima have been learnt by you. Then we also learnt the very graceful and slow, refined items like the thaat and the amad, which were performed more or less at the beginning of presentations in Islamic courts. As you notice that the word amad is not of Sanskrit origin. In fact, it is of Persian and Arabic origin. And even thaat, this is also under Islamic influence. In fact, if you notice that in Kathak, almost all the words have, or all the technical terms have partly Sanskrit and partly Persian origins. That is because both these cultures influenced Kathak, and they remained and are still used today. Thaat is a very graceful item in which gradual movements of the wrist, of the shoulders, of the eyes, of the neck are used. So this was the abstract dance part, which is called Nritta, where the movements are there for their beauty and the focus is more on rhythm and tempo. After the Nritta items, we went on to the Abhinaya items. Abhinaya literally means to communicate. How do you communicate? There are 4 different ways of communication as narrated by our ancient sages. One is through movements, and it is called Angik Abhinaya. The next is through words, Vachik Abhinaya. Then through your makeup, costumes, ornaments, Aharya Abhinaya. And then Sattvic Abhinaya, when you feel something from within your sattva, and this finds expression through your face. Now, all these 4 elements are very important in communicating, and the Abhinaya items are those belonging to the Nritya genre, when we are trying to express a sentiment or a mood. Generally, this is done by being anchored on a verse or a song. You have learnt the shloka to Saraswati, which is a Nritya item, and it is devotional by nature. We have followed the words of the verse and have expressed it through our movements and our facial expression and nuances. Then you had Natya or dramatic dance in the form of Gat Bhava, in which an entire story was narrated. Now, in the narration of a story, by narration I mean not just telling a story, but actually dancing a story, enacting a story. And here we had the story about Krishna's stealing of butter, Makhan Chori. In Natya, and also for that matter in Nritya, we have bhavas and rasas. A rasa is literally the taste of something. Like when you taste something sweet, you have a sweet feeling. When you taste something bitter, you have a bitter feeling. So, in dance, when you're seeing some in action, it brings about a feeling or a mood within you. Bharat has enumerated 8 sthai bhavas or 8 dominant moods or expressions that are portrayed, and these bring about within the audience a taste or an experience of a mood. And so we have Ratir Bhava, Shringar Ras, Has Bhava, Hasya Ras, Shok Bhava, Karun Ras, Krodh Bhava, Raudra Ras, Utsaha Bhava, Veer Ras, Bhay Bhava, Bhayanak Ras, Jugupsha Bhava, Bibhatsa Ras, Vismay Bhava, Adbhut Ras. To these 8 Natya rasas, enumerated and described by Bharat, 1,000 years later, Abhinavagupta added the 9th ras, which is Shanta. Kathak follows the special Vaishnava rasas, which are all based on bhakti. So you have Madhur rasa, which is also called Madhurya, in which you think of the Supreme Lord as your beloved. Then you have Vatsalya ras, when you think of the Supreme Lord as your child. You have the Sakhya ras, in which you think of the Supreme Lord as your Sakha, your friend. And then Dasya ras, when the Supreme Lord is your master. So, these are the practical aspects of Kathak you have learnt. And then you have learnt the theory. We started with the time when Kathak originated in temples, and it was a storytelling art where stories about the temple deity were told to all the people who had gathered. Then gradually this dance style came to the courts of kings and Islamic rulers, the Delhi Sultanate, the Mughals. Then, with the gradual decline of the Mughal Empire, Kathak was patronized by the regional kings and Nawabs, and foremost amongst them were the Nawabs of Awadh and the Rajas of various kingdoms in Rajasthan. Benares, as a seat of devotion, also contributed a great deal to Kathak, as also did Mathura, Vrindavan, and Ayodhya. After this period came the modern age when Kathak was patronized by various organizations, various rich people, and with the independence with the Indian government. And so we have a very rich dance form which has crossed over many centuries, imbibing, absorbing, expanding, flowering, and becoming the beautiful classical dance style that we have today. You, as students, will soon become performers and will also add to Kathak. Wish you all the best. Thank you. Enjoy your dance. Enjoy yourselves. And enjoy learning dance. Thank you. I wish you all the best for the coming examinations and also for your whole life of dedicated dancing. Thank you.